We begin in Waterbury, where the morning after began with a shovel brigade all through the city streets as the snowbound slowly started to emerge from the snow that kept them inside for the past 2 days. Seymour called out the heavy equipment in force to help businesses and residents there dig out. No school today in Woodbury. With the help of this snowblower, the doors are expected to reopen tomorrow. In Groton, a day off from school meant all kids and their sleds to their slopes for the day.
Two Coast Guard helicopters were brought in to save the flood victims from waters that had risen to inundate streets half a mile from the shore. Police would not let us into the area. Many of the victims were stranded in a bus that became stuck in deep water. Others were plucked to safety from their residences.
There was no way to leave with our cars or anything. The water was above our mailbox and up to our porch in the back. It's all around, took down all the fences and everything.
And then came the Coast Guard.
Yes, we were happy to see them.
Well, we had to get into this little cage thing, and they brought us up to the helicopter, and then we got off there and into the helicopter. It was very windy and rainy and wet.
Windy, rainy, and wet was an understated description for midday conditions in Milford. This was the scene at Walnut Beach. And over on Fort Trumbull Avenue, the flood-engorged surf tore away a section of sidewalk. Resident Evelyn Toros was awestruck.
This is a heavy-duty storm. This is the biggest storm I've seen since I've lived here.
And that's been how long?
About 8 years.
Now, how about hurricanes? You've lived through those?
Yes, we have. Even with Hurricane Gloria, there wasn't this kind of tide and this kind of damage.
Milford residents, some with pets, sought refuge at a shelter. Mayor Fred Listman says Milford got a jump on the floodwaters.
We've actually probably pulled out between 25 and 30 with our Zodiacs and boats, but we started at about 6:30, 7 o'clock this morning telling people to leave those areas.
One of the areas hardest hit is in the northeastern part of the state. Many people in this area are without power tonight and admit that the situation is out of their hands.
Hope and pray. That's all you can really do, you know, sit it out. You know, so I'm just hoping that some of these big trees don't start coming down.
The trees have to be moved off of the power lines before the lines can be put back up. That could take days.
Well, we're basically for the power company trying to clean the power lines up, you know, to restore the power for the people.
Did get out in this area today, chances are you were headed to the grocery store.
Well, we don't have any power, and it's going to snow all day. We got 16 inches at our house, so I figure we'll get a few vittles.
Vittles that hopefully don't need to be refrigerated. But remember, you can always use a snowbank. 72-year-old Madeline Libby's power went out. She called 911 to see if she could get help.
He said that everybody was out, and it'd take me 8 to 10 hours before I caught somebody, before he could get through to me.
Late this afternoon, while she was getting out, the National Guard was moving in.
"30 inches of snow blankets much of Union, which by most assessments is the hardest hit town in the state. The wet snow has weighted down trees and snapped power lines, leaving 30% of the residents here without service. Cleanup crews have been assisted by 25 National Guardsmen.
They came down complete with their trucks, manpower, and chainsaws and gave us a real good assist.
But the cleanup has a long way to go. Snow is almost as high as mailboxes. Cars are stuck in drifts. Some are able to enjoy the conditions here, but for most it's made life pretty uncomfortable. Joe Gingras and his wife haven't had heat for days and have turned to melting snow just for fresh water.
We want to try and keep some clean dishes and, you know, keep things going in the home for a while. We don't really have any place to go.
Northeast Utilities crews are struggling with the situation in Union. Teams have been on the job for 58 hours straight. The Union firehouse is where they come for a little warmth and food before heading back into the snow.
It looks very bad. This is the worst I've seen it since I've been working here. I've been working for the company for over 7 years.
Great loss, yes, of course. But we'll be back if it's possible next summer.
Well, put a new floor in, close it off for now, and then in a couple months in the spring, rebuild it.
The request is met. That entails one set of responses. I've got experts out there doing a job, and experts from the federal government and experts from the state of Connecticut. And I'd like to feel that when we stand up and make our request, we can back it up.
People who live along the shoreline in Fairfield County are trying to reclaim what Friday's storm didn't wash away from them. Here in Stratford, the rushing waters of Long Island Sound completely took some beachfront homes and battered others to bits.
It's over with. What could you really do about it, you know? It's not like if I cry or weep about it, it's going to come back. It's like someone dying. You can't really do anything about it. You have to try to get over it.
This is a brick driveway, believe it or not. About 3 or 4 feet under here.
Ida Branca was one of the lucky ones. Her home was spared. She calls this the worst storm she's seen in the nearly 25 years she's lived here. The day was frustrating for people who wanted to get back into their homes but couldn't because inspectors tagged them uninhabitable.
Once they tag the houses that they're unsafe, you can't go inside. You can't go inside, and that's all they want to say.
Police are keeping people out so emergency crews can get in to get their job done. There are down power lines and sharp debris, among other things to be concerned about. The damage covered a wider area in nearby Fairfield. Residents carried what they could of their belongings as they left their homes behind for temporary shelter. Officials say it could be a day or longer before utility crews restore just the bare comforts of electricity and heat. It'll be much longer before these homes are fully repaired. First, state and federal emergency teams must come in to assess what's estimated to be more than $25 million in losses in southern Connecticut. The upside of this disaster, most of these people agree, is that they lost material things, and material things can be replaced. In Stratford, Allison Clay, Connecticut News.
Fairfield Beach Road has some 60 buildings declared unsafe to enter after the weekend's vicious northeast storm. The street was a haven for irony, a tangle of boats, one of them named Uneasy, damaged houses bearing the names Lucky 7 and Nervous, a family happy that their cats survived the flooding. Their back porch was washed away.
Well, we're staying in New York. We're just trying to kind of move things in case something else happens.
Telephone linemen checked for wires that needed cutting. Dump trucks hauled away sand scraped from the road.
It's little wonder that this road got hit so badly. Friday's storm-driven tidal surge was big enough to overwash this area and travel another half-mile inland.
The clearest sign of the storm's force was the need to put several 1,500-pound blocks back in place on the seawall. But if Fairfield Beach Road lost the battle to the nor'easter, Shoreline Drive in Stratford appears to have lost the war, destruction visible along its entire length. Damage assessment personnel lined the street. Crews cut sewer lines of houses too far gone. Pilings alone mark where 4 or 5 cottages once graced Lordship Beach. Those houses were smashed. Don Gorlow says his went out to sea.
Great loss, yes, of course. But we'll be back if it's possible next summer.
If Gorlow can't rebuild on the same spot, he can build across the road. Richie Cimino's cottage got in the way of one that was swept away.
Well, put a new floor in, close it off for now, and then in a couple months in the spring, rebuild it.
Make that comeback.
That's all.
That's part of the reality of living by the shore. John Sablon, Connecticut News.